We are living in a time where the rate of change has accelerated unlike anything we have ever seen in the course of human history. I want to make you question everything you believe. Now, this session is going to be broken up into 3 quick sections. First, we're going to look at how customers are shifting. Because if we're going to serve people, we have to understand how they're changing. Then we're going to look at some trends. And please understand, I've traveled around the globe and helped all kinds of organizations use strategy for sales. I know that trends are slightly different in different regions. But today, because we have so many global minds, brilliant global minds in one place, we're focusing on the overarching trends. And then lastly, because I don't believe it's helpful to know trends without having tactics. We have to know what to do with this information. Hey, babe, bee people, where are my bee people? You still feeling cocky? Go ahead, just raise your hand. I'm not even gonna make you stand up. Just raise your hand, it's okay. It's okay. If you selected B, you selected moon seed. Congratulations, you're dead. Yikes. The purpose in doing this activity, though, was to show you how the smallest shift or change means the difference between something being safe and something being dangerous. We're only here because our ancestors understood that. And so our brains are still operating like our ancestors' brains, where when we see something new, oftentimes we find ourselves rejecting it immediately. Our brain thinks it's moon seed. If positivity was enough, most people wouldn't fail at their New Year's resolutions. We're positive about those. We feel good about them. We want to do a good job. It's not enough because we're dealing with brain science behind them. So when we talk about neuroplasticity and learning challenges, the longer you've been doing something a certain way, the more your brain is going to resist trying to change and do it a different way. So we talk about leveraging generative AI, ChatGPT, Midjourney, DALL-E, Whisper, all these different types of technologies and models. For people that have been doing things a certain way for so long, there's going to be some resistance because their brains are actually saying, wait a minute, what are you doing? This is not how this works. And it doesn't matter that they're positive. We have to understand that that's one of the challenges that you're dealing with as you're communicating, and that's definitely something that your clients are dealing with their teams as well. A resistance to change. And a resistance to change doesn't simply mean that people are just being difficult on purpose. Understand, we have a few different biases. We have recency bias, which is something that means that we tend to overestimate the importance of current events and how they're going to continue in the future. We have a status quo bias, which means that our brains prefer we stay locked into what's happening now, even if it's unpleasant, because we're familiar with it. Now, generative AI is the conversation right now, and most of us in this room know that AI is not a new thing. The term artificial intelligence was actually coined in the 1950s. Okay, so we've been developing this for quite some time. Now people talk about it because of generative AI. And what's fascinating is that about 10 years ago, when people were really talking about AI a little bit more, the whole conversation was, these blue-collar workers had better level up before they lose their cashier jobs. How many of us remember this, right? Oh, these people in the front lines, they better, make sure they get some more skills. We got to upskill them because they're about to lose their jobs. Oh, well. It was kind of this flippant attitude, right? Because the educated, the innovative, they were going to be okay. Let me give you an example of something that's happening right now due to generative AI. There's an organization called Law Geeks, and they're out there, and they won't say this, but they're kind of trying to replace lawyers, okay? Sorry, ma'am, I think you're going to be okay, though. Don't worry, but I'm just letting you know, they're coming for you. And Law Geeks created this generative AI, and they wanted to see if their AI could outperform top attorneys. And so they ran a study where they had the AI, their Law Geeks AI, and a group of attorneys spot check 5 non-disclosure agreements. And when they took all the results and averaged them out, what they found
was that the LawGeeks AI was 9% more accurate in spotting issues with the NDA. Okay, 9% more accurate, that's significant. But here's where things get even kookier. It's not just that they're more accurate. It took those attorneys on average 92 minutes to spot check those NDAs. It took the LawGeeks AI 26 seconds. How many of you have manipulated some form of generative AI? Raise your hand for me if you've tried something. So the question is, who owns the rights to what is created? Now, you might think you know the answer. Companies like OpenAI said, well, you do, but you just have to put this little phrasing here. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. So last week, I was speaking in Rio de Janeiro at one of the largest intellectual property conferences in the world on generative AI and intellectual property. And let me tell you, there's still a lot of conversation around who owns what. And if you think that we have laws in this country that have really finalized who can get a patent on what or whose copyrighted work that is, you're mistaken. In fact, all the countries right now are trying to figure out what to do with this content. So what that means is you can generate something today, think that you have a right to it, and then laws that come about 2 or 3 years from now might yank something from underneath you. So the other thing is we have to be careful as we're creating these prototypes, as we're creating this content, as we're creating these images that we're putting on our websites, because we don't know who's going to own this in a few years. We're playing the game as the rules are being written.
This is a very simple chart where really it's crossing 2 periods of time over each other. We're looking at things that are both expected to unexpected, things that are not happening and things that are happening. And so when you think about in the planning, things that you expect to happen that actually end up happening, we deal with those things pretty well because we see them coming. It's just us planning for the future based on what we think will happen. The things that are expected and don't happen, we're okay with that quadrant too. You know, I live in the wonderful city of Houston, Texas. Do we have any other folks from Houston here? Yes. It's an exciting city where once every other year the ocean comes on land and tries to kill us. It's really exciting. Do we have any Florida coast people in here too? Yeah, you're with us on that one. And what's fascinating is whenever that happens, when the storm is coming and the weatherman has everyone get prepared, if it doesn't destroy your home as he suggested, people get mad. That's ignorant, right? That's that quadrant, but we'll be okay. Now, the things that we weren't expecting that don't happen, that's our freebie. But where we absolutely get our teeth kicked in is the things that are unexpected but happen to us. But what's interesting about this is that there are very few true black swan events. It's rare that no one expected a thing to happen. Oftentimes, we just didn't expect it to happen. And so now we have to expand the possibilities of what we're looking at that can happen to us in business so that we can cover that quadrant.
Data-enabled AR contacts. We're already starting to see traces of this as well, where there's already contacts. There's a company right now called Mojo that already has contacts where you can get some information out of them. But now we're upgrading this technology. So I want you to imagine, just about in an industry, what happens when you look at a thing and you get all the information you need about this item? What does this mean for farming when you're looking at your crops, when you're reviewing your machinery and you see that something needs to be fixed? What does it mean when you don't have to have that specialized knowledge once again, because now immediately at the tip of your eyes, you can get all the information you need? Does this change education? When you can access information this easily and it's popping up in your head or at your eyes what you see? That's something we have to consider. But here's the other question. How is anyone a specialist when everyone can tap into all information?
The other cool thing about BombBomb and some of the other tools is you can actually track and see when they open things, no matter how late they open them. So can I tell y'all something spooky that I do? So I send it over, and you know, I see they're all clicking on. I get little updates on the side. I can see when people click on things. But sometimes I'll see that they click on this same email. Maybe we've done business together, but I notice, hey, they just reopened this email a year later.
It pops up in my little emails. I just see they opened this from a year ago. So what do? I find an excuse to contact. I'm like, you know what? I just saw this article and it made me think of you, Tiffany. So when they're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I was just thinking about you. I'm like, me too. If you have a photo where the only people that can see you are the people you're already connected with, why are you on LinkedIn? That's almost like, imagine you wanted to connect with people, right? And you send someone a connection request. I want you to imagine you're at home right now. Go ahead and close your eyes. Close your eyes. Imagine you're at home sitting on your couch. Some of you have trust issues. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. I want you to imagine you're at home right now. You're sitting on your couch and you hear a knock at the door. You get up, you look through the peephole, and you see a man with a ski mask on who says, will you be my friend? Open your eyes. How many of you just made a new friend? Anybody let him in? Hopefully, this doesn't happen here in my home state of Texas, because depending on how close they are to the door sill, we can shoot them, right? Oh, deep in the heart of Texas. How is that any different than sending someone a connection request on Facebook, or on LinkedIn, and not having a visible profile picture? You get it? That's just as spooky. It's the same rules of engagement. Have that visible picture, but in that headline that appears under your name, get some of your keywords in there and put contact information. It could be an email address or a phone number. The reason why is if someone's searching for those keywords, you pop up near the top of their results, you're going to pop up on a page with 9 other people. For them to contact you, they have to click on your profile, try to send you an in-mail message or a connection request, if they even can. And how many of you in here are great about checking LinkedIn every day? Exactly. You'll miss it. So having contact information right there when all the results pop up, you're already saving them time. They already like you better. We've been waiting to be told what to do. We're waiting for someone to say what the newest trend is, or what you need to get here, or what's coming down the pipeline here, when we could actually create the future we want. We don't always have control over all of the situations around us. But what we can do is make the decision to position ourselves in the most positive light in any future that's coming in our direction. Friends, no one is coming to save us. No one.